Right, Mr. Holmes again. We're now going to continue with the next phase of planning and design. And the first of those two steps is the declare phase, in which we declare our global variables. This is very much the same as it always has been, as in the DIPO coding. So we have declare, and then the next thing that we will do is we will define our top level or our main algorithm. So in order to complete these two steps, you need to have completed your variable table, and you also need to have completed your subroutine table. Why? I need to know which variables are going to be global. These are the ones here. So I'm going to have data, count, quit, sum, and average. And we can declare those with data equals int, open close brackets. I'm using the typecast function to create the variable. Count equals int, sum equals int, and finally I also have average equals float. Now you'll notice that the traditional way of doing this is being to put in comments after the variable input as integer, or whatever the case may be. That is completely and utterly meaningless, because data equals int, it kind of sums it up. It tells me that it's a variable that it is an int of type integer. What is better to do is to take the what it's for column from your variable table and rephrase that as your comment. Rather make it descriptive. Let it describe what it does, so that it has meaning and definition, as opposed to just stating the blasted obvious. So this is really bad. I wouldn't ever consider doing it like that. I would rather say storing the what's it for? It stores the replace it. So storing is really bad. So I would say it stores the integer input data, and that makes far more sense in the context of the rest of the design. Right, you might be saying, well, okay, so this is not actually giving those variables values. Yes, this is correct. We don't at this stage want to give them values. That is the job of the main or the top level algorithm. If we want to give these variables initial values, we will do it in the top of the main level algorithm. The declare phase is there to declare or create the variable names before we use them. So without further ado, let's get on to the initialize phase. Alright, so looking at the problem I have to solve, I have a couple of variables that I should set up to have initial values. Oh, and I'm missing one. I'm missing the quit variable. Right, added in the bool variable quit. Stores true when data is not when data is strictly not positive, and count is greater than or equal to 3. So we need a minimum of 3 inputs. Right, having said that, we can now begin and say, right, what initial values do I need to give any of these variables? Well, quit should obviously start off as false. What else? Count and sum, both being integers, should start off with an initial value of 0 as well. Right, so far so good. What I now need to do is think about how am I going to solve this problem. And what we have to remember is that we're going to repeatedly do something. So that needs me to use conditional iteration. And the most useful one to use, because I want to do it at least once, and I know what the quit condition is, I'm going to use a repeat until loop. Right, so repeat until what? Well, I'm going to go with repeat until quit is equal to true. And what are we going to repeat doing over and over and over again? Right, so we should indent this. Just make it easy to read. Right, you might get all involved with it, but we actually have that already worked out for us. We're going to call get data. I can just use that subroutine. I'm going to use it as if it already exists and it has been written and tested. I'm going to repeatedly get the data. I'm then going to calculate calc count sum of the value of data that's been entered. I'm then going to set the value of do quit. And I'm going to keep doing that over and over and over and over until quit becomes true. How's quit going to be set to true? Well, my do quit routine is going to do it. How's data going to get in? I'm going to use my get data routine to do that. How is the sum going to be calculated? I'm going to use the calc count sum routine to do that for me. Right, that's most of the program. That's the loop part of the program all done. What I still have to do, I have to do two more things, and that's given to me over here. I have to calculate the average. I'll simply call calc average to do that for me. And finally, last but not least, my program will need to display everything. And for which, and what am I going to display? I'm going to display the value of the sum and the average. How do I do that? I simply call my subroutine that I've written to do that job, display sum, average, and that's it. That is my top level algorithm. Declared my variables, I've initialized the ones I want to initialize, and I have my main program repeat loop, calling my subroutines in the loop, and the ones I want to run after the loop called after it. And that is the top level algorithm complete.